Take that, you big blobby blob! Uh-oh. Hello there, and welcome back to AlphaCraft. Is anyone still out there? I mean, it's been a while. Just when you think life has got to calm down, it just ends up getting crazier and crazier. But you know, the last few weeks I've been really feeling the itch to make a video again, and so I'm forcing myself to drop everything and put something together. Now, I like to take a little pride in coming up with some story or a coherent through line for a video, but I can't promise anything today. I mean, I've been playing, but it's so sporadic, and often I'm just playing and not recording, so it should be interesting to see what footage I have stored away and what I can do with it. So enough talk, let's get her done, shall we? Now, when I know I don't have a lot of time to play or just want to do something to relieve the stress of the day, I often head off to the caves and start lighting them up. So here's me lighting. And here's me fighting. And here's me mining. And sometimes I just log in and start doing some mindless combat in the river around my base. All that cave lighting, and trust me, there's been a lot. All that lighting has pretty much turned the river into a drowned farm. And on one of those little combat excursions, I encountered my first Nautilus riding trident boy. And it went something like this. Alright, so a trident boy on a Nautilus spawned in up there. So now we're going to try and sneak up on it and try and kill the trident boy without killing the Nautilus. Hopefully, it's easier than knocking a baby zombie off a chicken. Here we go. Huh. Well, that was anticlimactic. Hey, bud. Oh. Gotta get rid of the bow. One sec while I figure out how we tame these things. Be right back. Okay, so I remember something about pufferfish from the snapshot video, so let's give that a try. Oh. Put the bow away, Gragore. Put the bow away. Alright, there we go. Okay. Now let's give the pufferfish a try. Okay, looks like he ate it. Ate it again. Is he tamed? He's not eating it. He's not eating it. Let's try the saddle out. Come on. I really think, yeah, let's try the saddle. There we go. He must be tamed. I really need to turn particle effects on someday. Let's see if we can get him back to the base and get him named. One sec. Okay, at some point I'll have to make some sort of underwater stable for him, but right now let me introduce you to Naughty. Oh, and did I mention chicken jockeys earlier? Well, I found this little guy who spawned way up near the roof of a cave. So, having learned my lesson from these guys before, I've grabbed my axe so there won't be any sweeping edge to endanger the chicken, and am finally in position to try and get myself a music disc. Whatcha? And there we go. Sorry, little chicken. I haven't had dinner yet. So now I had a zombie Nautilus and yet still didn't have a regular one. But, as has been mentioned many times before, sometimes I mine and sometimes I fish. The reason that's important is during one of my many fishing sessions, I noticed that there were several Nautili in the area. So I tamed them and slapped some leads on them and gathered them up for a voyage back to spawn, possibly for use in some game. It should be said that I don't have any plans for a game at the moment. I just thought, hey, I have some Nautilus here. Maybe someone will want them. Let's take them back to spawn. Random thoughts like that pop into my head all the time and make up most of what I do in Minecraft. When they don't go away, I find myself doing things I never planned on. Like this. Okay, so here's the trouble all these random thoughts get me into. This is a map of the AlphaCraft world. Pretty early on. This is an old map. But it shows 4,000 blocks in every direction. Which means right here at the center of the world is spawn. See? There's spawn right there. Okay, so we want to get the Nautilus, Nautili here, right? But my fishing spot is up here. Right in this area right here. Now, when I zoom out, I can't come over to spawn this way. But it looks like maybe I can come over to spawn this way. So let's try it out. We can come down this way. Oh, we can come through here. This is nice. Through here. Through this big open sea here. That's good. Down through here. Maybe over here. Oh, but that's somebody's base. That's Spiderweb Ninja's base over here. So I would have to tunnel through this. Right in Spiderweb Ninja's area. Not gonna happen. So, come back up here. Back to the open sea. We'll come down, we'll go here, and we'll go past Jareen's base. And then we hit our little trouble area right here. It almost goes through, but there's this tiny little bit of land I have to go through. And another tiny little bit of land. And another tiny little bit of land. And another tiny little bit of land. And that gets me to here, which, if we follow around, up over the loop, down through here, down here, around here, over here, through the swamp, up through the swamp, and up through the river, and here's Indy's base, and up here, and up here, and up here, and here we're back at spawn! Yay! So, no matter what I do, I have a lot of tunneling to do, and this is a crap load of tunneling, so no. So we're going to take the trip down through this way, past Jareen's base, under Spiderweb Ninja's base, up through the swamp, and back to spawn. So off we go! And so begins our journey to the center of the world, otherwise known as spawn. We crossed oceans, boated past jungle, and even more jungle, and across the wide open sea, past wooded forests, and arborally challenged plains, past our first signs of civilization, which brings us to the first diggy-dig site. And so we dug, and we flooded, and we dug, and we flooded, before moving on to the next river expansion site where, again, we dug, and we flooded, and we dug, and we flooded. And then we got back in our boat and continued our way to spawn, past the rolling mountains, through the fetid swamps, under the water wheels of doom, until, finally, we made it to the center of the world, spawn. And, with the river path now open to boat traffic, I thought I would bring my collection of zombie Nautili to spawn. You know, they were gathered while I was AFK fishing, of course. And it was at this point that someone mentioned there was yet a third type of Nautilus, a version I hadn't heard of. And so the search began for the fabled zombie coral Nautilus. To find one, I went to a remote coral reef, and then I fished. And then I searched. And I fished. And I searched. And then a couple of my brain cells made a connection, and I realized in order for this to work, I would have to remove the sea pickles from the coral reef because the lighting was too bright for drown to spawn. So I began by punching some pickles. And I tried rotting some fish. And I punched more pickles. And I rotted more fish. But still, no zombie coral nautili in sight. And this continued until I had removed 20 stacks of sea pickles from the reef. So, once again, I fished. And I fished. And I fished. And I even fished. And then, just to be different, I tried fishing. But there was no joy until one day I was working in the background while I AFK fished, and the sound I had been waiting for, me taking damage, was heard. I fumbled my way back out of AFK and found my boat had been destroyed, and I was half dead. So I swam for my life, cutting left and cutting right, but the Trident boy was in hot, watery pursuit, and got me down to 2 hearts when I ran smack into a pufferfish, and it was only through great skill and much daring of do that I found a small hole to hide in where I could finally eat some food and heal up. Now, at this point, you could argue that I should have turned on my camera, but we'll have none of that competent YouTuber stuff over here. But seriously, I was so worried the Nautilus would despawn that I swam out as soon as I was healed up with no thought of turning on a camera. For a few moments, I couldn't find the Trident boy, but luck was with me, if not my camera, and I finally found my prey and actually managed to kill the drowned without damaging the zombie coral Nautilus. Exciting stuff, to be sure, but since staring at my face doesn't quite tell the tale, I waited around until a second zombie coral Nautilus showed up, and this is how it went. Okay, so there's another Trident boy out there. I was AFK again while I worked and heard the boat break. Let's get out there and see if we can kill him without hitting the Nautilus. Oh, there he is, there he is. I'm going to try and come at him from the side by swimming in a bit of a circle. That way I can get in there without being hit. Oh, he got me, but one more hit should do it. And there we go. We now have our second coral Nautilus. Thankfully, these guys are much easier to kill than knocking a chicken jockey off a chicken. And with all that behind us, allow me to present my new friends, Coral Bob Tentacle Pants and Lord Archibald Percival Montgomery Smith III, both proud members of the Nautilus army forming its spawn. So there you have it. Who knew when I started making this video that it would end up being all about the Nautilus? No one's more surprised than me, but there you go. And with that done, I think I'm going to cut it there and start planning the next video now so it doesn't take me so long to make another one. Until next time, I have been Gragore, and this has been AlphaCraft. Wherever you are, whatever you're doing, always try and find a way to make it fun. See ya!